Hello, my name's Kevin. I'm the Atypical Cripple. I am with
Sardine.
Sardine. Okay. And maybe we'll put it at the beginning of the video.
Or an end blooper.
Yes, we'll do a blooper because this is take 2 for right now. Anyway, so we have, what are we talking about today, Sardine?
You're going to have to get used to that one. I think we're Decadence.
Okay, Decadence. Yeah. So I sent you this video, a week ago or so?
Yes.
And what was your impression of? Because I've been watching the What If Is This for quite a while, and being that he doesn't consider himself, let's say, a Orthodox Christian. Orthodox in the sense of he believes in the physical resurrection of Jesus. He does say in many of his videos that Christianity as a force of nature, as a force of culture, not force of nature, is crucial and essential to the Western identity.
Yeah, that's one of the points he kind of covered in this video, was that the danger of going into like pure rationalism or something without a Christian foundation, without the moral guidance and other things that you have in Scripture.
Right.
If you go pure rationalism, you end up in some really dark places.
Right, because it all comes pragmatic.
Yeah.
You know, it was very pragmatic for the Nazis to kill the disabled people.
Right.
It's very pragmatic to do certain things in a society. However, I don't
know that pragmatism is necessarily a good example of decadence, though.
You think so?
I think it's not.
Right.
Because a pragmatic society isn't necessarily a decadent society.
Okay. So what makes a society decadent according to the What If Is This?
Well, it's like stagnation. It's like an inability to deal with outside forces or threats in a realistic way that's not just like based on internal politics and things.
Right. I would say it's insular, like many historically China was a very insular place.
Right.
People wanted to trade with them, not the other way around. And then with mercantile capitalism, which was an artifact of the West, there was an explosion of exploration and finding out what's out there for the pursuit of profit. So essentially it was a bunch of Ferengi going out and you have anything of value here? If you don't, we'll just kick you off your land and grow something ourselves. Which I also don't agree with, at least in a modern context. But at the time, it's like for example, much of native culture in America, there was no understanding of property rights. It was all very communal and tribal.
Right.
And so for somebody to put up a fence and say, I own this amount of acreage and I can do with what I want with it, was anathema to them.
Do you think that part of the reason for the communal type mentality was just the abundance of land relative to the amount of people?
I think it was based on the fact that there was no technology that really required regular intensive land use. They were
Not big agriculturalists.
right. Because when you look at native societies, like when Jamestown and St. Augustine and Boston colonies were going in, of course, people looked at the wildlife and things of that nature as whoever kills it or grows it owns it. But as far as the idea of owning a plot long term, or maybe having hunting areas that were possessive, you could make a case there. But it was very much not, we own this. It's if you could keep it, you had it. So it was largely a lot of the jungle thing. In which case, there were some societies like um, there was a tribe in northern New York that had a multi-tribe confederation. But the problem was is that most tribes had other tribes they were at war with, and they're always trying to seek advantage over one another. That's where you have, the different tribes that kind of went along with the U.S. cavalry when they were having the Indian Wars in the 1800s. There were always tribes willing to rat one another out. So it can get rather complicated where the French would allow for tribal distinctions and things of that nature and kind of go along with the fur trade. The English were very much settled and wanted to expand into the Ohio, things of that nature. As a matter of fact, that was that was a big reason for the War of 1812,
Hmm.
because they wanted to claim the Ohio as British and say, okay, you guys get the coastline, you United States, and it was people like Davy Crockett that were trying to push westward. You remember Davy Crockett?
You mean the
He did
suitcase,
die in the Alamo.
the recoilless rifle that shoots a nuke, the Davy Crockett?
No,
Oh, not that Davy Crockett.
no, I was thinking of the historical figure who was also a member of Congress.
That Davy Crockett.
And then he went to Texas to fight in the Alamo
Hmm.
because he was concerned about the war of Southern aggression,
Yeah.
that of Santa Anna, and wanting to,
Do you think the Indians were a decadent culture?
um, boy, we got off topic, didn't we? All right. Yeah, in a way. Because in a way, potlatch was where you would collectively destroy property.
Hmm.
So,
Potlatch. What is that?
well, look it up.
But I asked you.
Potlatch was a way of equalizing property. No, it's, anyway. Yes.
North American Indian peoples, an opulent ceremonial feast in which possessions are given away or destroyed to display wealth or enhance prestige.
So you could say what people are doing to Twitter is a sort of potlatch.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of this on YouTube. I see wealthy people giving away or destroying
Right.
their possessions.
So let's. Sorry about getting us off track. I do that a lot, don't
It
Well,
keeps things.
some of us need to improve more on that. When I say us, I mean me. So, all right. So let's go. So
Oh, you want to read that thing?
what? Yeah, let's read that thing because I thought that card up there was really good at making the point that it's a human issue. It's not a race or it's a human issue.
Yeah.
It's pan-human. All right, go
Yes.
for it.
Some examples of this are that what I will commonly say Christianity is fundamental to Western civilization's development, and that different cultures result in profoundly different reactions to the same situations, and Marxist-derived leftists often view that as silly, while any objective historian or anthropologist would say my view is completely obvious. For example, how the U.S. had the same decriminalization policies as no, democratization, sorry. Democratization policies in Iraq and Afghanistan as in Germany or Japan, and got very different results. Then those Marxists would go about trying to explain the whole world through terms of oppression, which isn't a prism that can encompass all of reality. For example, how slave rebellions normally result in slaves creating slave states with themselves as masters. And it started playing.
What?
The video started playing, I guess.
Oh, that's
With themselves as
oh, that's where you get the
slave masters, or was I?
slave man. Yeah,
Whether
go
the
ahead.
the American blacks in Liberia, the Spartacus rebellion, or
Mamelukes.
Mamelukes in Egypt. However, the lens of viewing all of history through oppression is the dominant one, and going against it is going against convention, even if that convention is dumb.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That. So right now, our level of decadence is that we're looking at everything through oppression, oppressor, and we're applying them to our political outlook, even though we have quote unquote the wrong people doing the.
Well, it's like if you break things down into oppressor, oppressed, and then you look at things throughout all cultures and history, then every different person can be categorized as either oppressed or oppressor
Right.
by any other different person, because history is complicated and different parts of the world, different people are favored and different
Right.
people are oppressed.
I would say that everywhere there is a dominant society, that dominant society pushes its set of preferences.
Yeah.
Now, in the West, our set of preferences is that we all want to treat each other nice, no matter where you're from. And now that
Well, it's not even just that. It's that there's an outgroup preference, right?
Mhm.
So not there's in the West there's a bit of self-loathing, and then there's also, and he covers this in the video, but there's also,
and we'll put the video in the description if people want to watch.
yeah, absolutely. There's also this, you want to be inclusive and accepting of every different culture and society and everything, but there's no honest attempt to deeply understand those other cultures and how they differ from our own.
Well, that's because if you're, let's say, we have a mutual friend that was that deployed to Afghanistan, and I know I talked to him about what his experience was in Afghanistan. He talked at length to me about how these guys, they're just so very unlike us. And I heard of one instance, not personally, in a book, where it talked about where one U.S. soldier was talking to an Afghan soldier, and he's like, "Why did you join special forces?" He goes, "Oh, there's less raping going on." Not no raping, just less. So, if you're in a society that, surface level, goes against the tenets of, let's say, we're all against homosexuals. But, on the other hand, still engage in homosexual play, as it was with the bakabazi, which is boy play. And it's like, well, what's going on here? I mean...
Yeah, a culture that'll throw you off a building if you're a gay man.
Exactly.
Unless you would like to transition into a woman, then you're okay.
Which is what they
if
do
you're
in
a small boy,
right,
and you can dress up as a girl. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, okay, I see your deep conviction about this issue of sodomy.
Right, and if you hold that as a high thing, that you're willing to throw other people under the bus, sacrifice, and really make a priority, I gotta wonder about your adherence to your faith.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is the difference in their theology, and obviously that...
Difference in theology?
A little bit, yeah.
I don't think they have a theology.
Of course they have a theology. Everyone has a theology.
Well, right. Even if it is, we're paying lip service to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what you believe about. It's the study of God. So, yeah, everyone has things that they believe about God, even if they don't believe in God. That is a thing that they believe about God.
Well, what did Jordan Peterson say about belief?
I don't know.
You do what you really believe.
Mm.
So if you're virtue signaling, oh yeah, we're good, whatever. And here's where it comes back to Christianity. Christianity is not what you believe, but what you do. James talks about this.
Show me your works.
Show me your works.
I will show you my faith by my works.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, Christianity solves for that within its own scriptures, which makes it a good litmus test.
Well, and like that specific issue we were just talking about within Islam, the fundamental commandment, there's love the Lord your God and your neighbor as yourself.
Huh?
So love is at the center, and it doesn't sound very loving what they're talking about.
It depends.
Although how you define love, I mean, that's important.
Because
so you can't say, oh well, it doesn't sound loving. So okay, who you are, you'll think one thing sounds loving and another doesn't.
If you're erosing your male friends,
don't eros your male friends.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is that the word love, I was watching an atheist talk about stuff, and he's like, you Christians, you use this love thing as a catch-all. And I think he's correct. We use love to basically characterize whatever feeling we want at the time.
Well,
and then when we question it, it's like, you're against love?
But the thing is, the Bible also defines love. And that's a big difference of the wider culture who, just love is love and all the different, it's a good message in theory to promote love, but what is love? And that's where there's a lot of difference in opinion.
The thing is, there are different levels of love.
Yes.
I mean,
different kinds, different levels,
I can
bad
say
definitions, bad ideas, good ideas.
If I say I love Mr. Sardine over here, and then I
How
say
dare you assume a sardine's gender? Sorry, go ahead.
oh, it's fine.
You're usually the bad one about topic changing. That was my
Pot calling kettle black.
yes,
Pot calling kettle black.
yes.
Okay.
What were you saying?
No, when it comes, no, it's like I love my friends. I love being around them, but I do not wish to have sex with them.
Oh, thank God.
But we seem to think that anyone that we have some sort of mild affection towards, I mean, we should be throwing ourselves into bed with them.
That's why you get the meme. Hey man, you're looking great today. No homo. No homo.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. It really sexualizes all the male to male and female to female relationships.
Yeah.
It makes it so you question people. I have to deal with this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I get naked in front of people all the time. And I got to be like, yeah, I don't want to get into that too much. But it makes it really uncomfortable.
I'd imagine.
Such is my life.
I was the kid in high school that didn't even get naked in the locker room, so.
Wow, you do real well as a cripple. I was getting naked in front of strangers ever since I was little. And I'm not saying that in a good way.
If I needed to change my boxers at school, I would go into the handicap stall so I had some privacy.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, you were experiencing a moment of non-decadence.
When I went to the bathroom stall?
Well, you wanted to
preserve my chastity?
Yes. Very good.
All right.
You get a gold star. But I think the important thing here is that insular societies that look within themselves for meaning instead of outwardly, tend to die. And our society is so vast, we're going to suck the whole world into this. And I don't think that's a good thing, which is why I'm watching Elon with such expectancy, because what's he got? He's got like another 2 months before the big rocket goes up.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to the timeline of that.
I think the FAA said he could go, and so he's pushing outward. I think the best people to push outward are going to be the same people that went to Jamestown and Boston. It's going to be religious people and people looking to make a buck.
I gotcha. That Elon Musk and SpaceX and the whole situation there provides another little example of societal decadence versus somebody who's working against it.
Right.
You have the FAA and these different environmental agencies who are,
throwing up roadblocks.
Yeah, there's all kinds of roadblocks to his launching these rockets because of the environmental impact and all these different things.
Well,
even the sound, you might just interrupt some rare fish mating season with the sound. What do you think?
What do you think's going to happen when Elon makes Musk Base 1? I mean, this guy's going to be like, "Hello, Mr. President. I was wondering, I would really like to melt some ice caps on Mars. May I have, a couple of hundred thermonuclear weapons, please?"
I'm all for it.
I am too. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm
But
also all for Elon Musk just getting a Falcon rocket, putting a nuke on top of it, and then just in big bold typeface saying the Second Amendment, and then just parking it somewhere, ready to go, just in case. See, the
that might,
government, you can't trample our rights because we can defend ourselves.
well,
That's what the founders intended.
you heard it here. Elon Musk needs to threaten Washington D.C. with an ICBM. That's all we're saying.
That's it. I mean, is it too much to ask?
I would say yes. I would say at least have an orbital platform.
Yeah, yeah. Tell him you need it to melt the ice caps on Mars. Yeah, that's what. We'll go with that story. I like.
Wink, wink,
Yeah,
nod.
yeah.
But anyway, but no, I mean, look at what's going on right now in our society compared to, let's say, what happened in Sodom.
Mm.
I compare it to what happened in Canaan at the time of the conquest.
Mm-hmm.
I look at, and I've been going through a really cool Bible study on Ezekiel, and I ran into something. It's called state-sponsored apostasy.
Okay.
In that God, according, and this is in chapter 8 and 9 of Ezekiel,
Okay.
in that the Lord, from Ezekiel's point of view, is not so much concerned about personal apostasy in Israel, but what was really upset over was the state-sanctioned apostasy,
Hmm.
which was Solomon making temples outside of Jerusalem, but within sight of Jerusalem, in honor of his wife's gods.
Right.
And I look at that and I'm like, ooh, that makes, state-funded abortion or state condoned crime with, what do they call it? The $1,000 minimum on theft
Right.
as property transfer for past oppressions. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
It's a particular kind of evil when the people that are supposed to be upholding the law are
Yeah.
doing the exact opposite.
That's what really makes me concerned, because we like to think of ourselves as a Christian nation. I like to think of my country as having Judaic Christian values. And I would hope that when those values are being overrun in the realm of public opinion, I feel like as Christians we're not meeting our obligations as Christians, because we get to sit around and we pontificate on King James only or other Bibles, and we just kind of let the world rot.
Yeah.
And I'm very upset by this, because when as a disabled person, occasionally I'll have a trans person come in, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, we'll be talking about things, and we'll be wanting to, oh, what do you believe? What do I believe?" kind of thing. And when they find out I'm a Christian, I don't agree with them, my standard of care goes down. My standard, because they're like, well, I don't, because everything's based on emotive value. If I agree with them, oh yeah, they'll go out of their way to be my caregiver. If I don't like them, then I'm personally oppressing them every time I ask them for a glass of water.
You know, this was one of the other points that he made in the video,
Mm-hmm.
that a society will become more focused on pleasing others rather than
Right.
on accomplishing
The goal,
goals.
right.
Or rather, pleasing people becomes the goal.
Yes.
And
I think
that's not a very that's a very circular thing if you think about it. Like the whole, it's all
Right.
very self-indulgent.
Yes. I've had people quit over my views on homosexuality.
That's
Whether
discrimination.
what?
That's discrimination. Should sue. Civil rights.
Well, there are a few
See,
more.
Christians and people who hold the opposition view need to get smarter about this, because
I agree.
people get in trouble and sued and canceled and whatever for holding traditional views.
But you, as a Christian, I think we have a
But
lot of.
when we are confronted by all these
Yeah.
wicked views in our mind, like from our perspective, these are all like terrible things that are
They
going
are.
on around us and extremely offensive.
But you
But
can't.
we,
Can't
if we complain, we're sued.
well, right. Well, and I think that's because a lot of Christians look at the first century church and they look at Rome and say, should we expect any less? And they don't know, they don't look at Justin Martyr.
I mean, it's not the New Testament, the early church. That's an important thing, but there's also the Old Testament, everything that went
Right.
on there, and all that we learned there, plus everything that's happened since,
Yeah.
like
Well-
all of church history.
Yeah,
Hello?
where we actually took ground. We went to the Holy Land to take it back. Why? Because they were abusing Christians.
Right.
Now, do we abuse Muslims back? Yes.
Yeah.
And that was wrong.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at how we're looking at things like slavery and war, we have to look at from the context of the time. We've
Right.
only had 150 years of anti-slavery in America.
Yeah, and it's important that you say in America, because there's parts of the world that still have slavery.
Yes, even if it's,
And it's like
even if it's illegal, many areas of the world still have slavery, and there are now more slaves under current slavery
Then there were.
than there were ever.
Wow.
And what I'm looking at is like Apple Computer or other countries that continually utilize China. I gotta wonder, why are we still allowing Apple to operate in China?
Why are we still allowing them to operate in America?
Well, right, and I gotta recognize that prior to the World War II, the Nazis were having gatherings at Madison Square Garden. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
In the 1930s, there was a whole movement, and in 19, I think it was like
Really,
1940s.
this was a very progressive, political.
Hitler was seen as Man of the Year by Time.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh. So,
It's like there's a track record of getting things exactly wrong.
well, right. But living in a free society, we need people to be able to explore those ideas and explore those things. Just like we're exploring ideas now.
Yeah.
From our perspective.
The problem is that a lot of really, really bad ideas have become embedded in our institutions. It's good to have these things talked about and debated.
Oh, I agree.
But having them entrenched in our institutions when they're just awful or...
Well, and that's where we have to stand up and say, my rights are being trampled. You need to stop it. And if you don't, me and these people will.
Yeah.
And I hope we never get there,
Right.
But if we're too afraid to go there, the other side will roll over you and call it a victory without firing a shot. And I don't agree with that. All right.
All right.
I think we said all that we need to say on that. And that's all I need to say about that. My name's Kevin. I'm the Atypical Cripple. I'm with
Sardine.
Have a nice bounce.
Adios.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I am the Atypical Cripple. I am with
what's my name again?
Sardine.
Oh, okay, fine.
I don't know. What
Sardine.
do you want to be?
Let's go with Sardine.
Are you going with trans naming now?
Yeah. I am transitioning my name.
Sardine. Bizarro Sardine.
No, it would. If anything, it'd be Sad Sardine.
Sad's depressive fish.
And it's not only is it a mental problem, but it's also an STD. Sad Zardine.
You're gonna have to clue me in on the STD part.
Look. Sad Zardine.
I'm still not.
S? Okay, never mind. It doesn't matter.
STD.
I'm the other guy in this podcast.
Yeah. Yes. STD. Nice. You want to be known as
a venereal disease. That's correct.
That's disgusting. But okay.
It goes very well with today's topic.
Abortion in church.
No, I thought we were talking about decadence.
Yes. All right. We need to start over.
Really? I thought that was great.
All right. Let's just